cell or a funnel cloud, it's going to be near the Sheik's area, moving to the north at around 20 to 30 miles an hour. So that's the area of concern there. Let's throw some streets on there because we did that for the other one. I think we're looking at it right around the Sheik's area. So right along 90, Wadley area. I don't see too many other streets in this area. But you're looking at winds that were impressive. 63 miles an hour, 66, 60 miles an hour, 67. So damaging wind gusts certainly within this tornado-warned cell. And if you even look at it from a angle farther out, you can see the whole cell rotating there. So that's interesting. That's going to be one to watch here as it soars off to the north at 20 to 30 miles an hour. Otherwise, it's 4:21. We still got 9 minutes on our other tornado warning. This one is north of the city in Harris and Montgomery, right along the county lines there near Dogwood Acres. And this one was showing very promising signatures of there being potentially a tornado. And this is looking even healthier again. This is like what it looked like when it first was issued. Circular in nature, a couplet, definitely visible here on the velocity signatures. And what this actually is the winds here moving towards the radar site in the green, and then outside of it in a sea of red are all winds moving away. So the atmosphere, the cell itself is rotating, and it's consolidating that rotation into a couplet. And right now that's over Chestnut Drive, Laurel Springs Lane, Walnut Lane, Townsend Boulevard, Riverside Crest, East Tex Freeway. It now looks like it passed just to the east of there right now. We'll put a storm track on it for you here. Moving to the north at 30 miles an hour. It's covering a lot of ground pretty quickly. And if you're live near any of these places, go to an interior room. Let me move out of the way so you can see it. I'll read them off for you too. Kingwood Pines Hospital, Kingwood Church of Christ, Kingwood Park High School, Hidden Hollow Elementary School. All of these areas within the next 5 to 8 minutes, this couplet will be on top of you. Not saying there's a tornado on the ground, but there is the possibility that this couplet makes it all the way down to the ground. That may be a funnel cloud now as a tornado. Nothing confirmed yet, but don't take any chances. Seek interior rooms away from windows. If you have a basement, I know a lot of folks don't, go down there. If not, a room under the stairs, a bathroom, get in a bathtub. If the winds are picking up outside, that's the reason why, and you're under that tornado warning. You want to get away from those windows and anything that could break and throw glass in your direction. But that's a very well-defined couplet here out by Kingwood, North Shore area, now just to the east of 5969. And it looks like the tornado warning has actually been extended until 5 o'clock. So this is now moving in that general direction. That's the old tornado warning. This is the new one that will go in to replace it at 4:30 in about 7 minutes. So this is not dissolved as it once was looking to do just 10 minutes ago. That's how quickly, that's how fluid a situation with a tornado-producing thunderstorm could be. We'll zoom out on that one because we have another tornado warning as well. And this one, that's a worrisome look right here. This is out by Dayton. This is in the middle of that tornado warning here. That's also up until 4:45, this Dayton area. I know we're not seeing greens and reds next to each other, but we are seeing, there's the latest update, we were seeing a very pronounced signature of strong winds kind of wrapping around other wind speeds. So that was interesting to see there. Let's see how that looks on the storm relative. And you can see the greens and reds there. That could likely be something consolidating into a more condensed couplet near the Dayton area, now likely north of 90, Kennewick, and Eastgate area, right along 32, Texas 32. It's over you there now as well. Let's get a gauge on how fast these wind speeds could possibly be. Dayton area, 42 miles an hour, 38, 41. If I switch this over to the other velocities and show you these, this might be 74 miles an hour, 65. So it is very windy here, just north of 90 through the Dayton area as that couplet. Here we go, tornado warning still up until 4:45, moving towards the Kennewick area. I'm going to throw it back on radar to show you a storm track on it to give you a sense of where it's moving and how quickly it's doing so. Any updates from the tornado warning from the Weather Service? Let's see. Moving at 20 miles an hour. Okay, and there are social media pictures that do indicate this storm may have produced a tornado in the southwestern portion of the county. Okay, that's interesting. because the signatures are certainly looking a little bit more conducive of that happening. Throw off lightning. So this is the cell right here near the Dayton area. So yeah, that's what it is. So we were saying how these were all radar indicated, and they still are until it's actually confirmed. But there are social media pictures for this tornado-warned cell that this cell may have produced a tornado that made it to the ground farther to the south and west. So it may have picked up again as it's moving to the northeast, but it possibly has already created or produced a tornado. There's the brand new update on the tornado warning, scaled back a bit, still a rather large polygon there. The areas that you're going to be concerned with possibly having a tornado is going to be this spot here. Let me draw it in there. Give you a feel for exactly what I'm talking about. This spot right in there. You can see the shift in the wind direction. It's just north of Dayton. It is in line with the strongest wind speeds that we've clocked so far, and it's pretty much moving along 321 right there, just to the southwest of Dayton Lakes, and moving a little bit slower than the other cell. This is around 20 miles an hour, but it is still moving, and it's clearing the Stilson area. And also, oh, look at that. So that's the latest update, and you can see that kind of consolidating even more right over 321. Let's get a close-up look if we can see any street names in this area. It's really just right over 321. Okay, sounds good. All right, just to the north of Dayton. So here we go. You see this couplet? Right in here. That's how small it could be. And this is 321. Texas 321 right here. Pretty much right on top of it. There's Dayton. There's Ladd. There is what we're looking at in terms of our couplet potentially being in that particular area right there. So that's very, very interesting. Here's another look at a different shade of velocities, and look at that. It is popping up now, right over 321. Look at some of these wind speeds. 85 miles an hour, right on that 321. This cell, this thunderstorm, has had a history of potentially producing a tornado. There are social media pictures showing a tornado associated with this cell, and this is tracking to the north at around 20 miles an hour. Let me put a storm track on it for you here. Right on where that couplet is to the north. And it looks like Greenville Church. You got some lead time, about 6 minutes. It's heading in your direction there. It looks like it should pass just to your west, but still, nonetheless, it's likely getting very, very windy in that particular area there. Let's jump over to our other tornado warning, because we have multiple. This one here. This is the couplet we've been watching for this one. Similar. I'll tell you, though, the other one off to the east looks a little bit more intense than this other one did. Okay, yep. All right, so this one just south of, let's see what street that is. Woodland Hills Drive, Woodridge Parkway, Kings Mill Forest Drive. This is the couplet here that earlier was dissolving and spreading out, has now consolidated once again and likely strengthening as it's moving to the north, which is why it's been actually extended until 5 o'clock later on this afternoon and evening. So another 30 minutes in once again and likely strengthening as it's moving to the north, which is why it's been actually extended until 5 o'clock later on this afternoon and evening. So another 30 minutes in store for that one. Let's throw back up here on velocities, or excuse me, reflectivity. All of these cells have extremely heavy rainfall with them. So that makes seeing any potential funnel cloud or tornado very hard to see, which is why it's interesting that there's social media pictures on this cell here that highlight potentially a tornado being produced from that cell. And this is it right here. So here's the overall picture. Some of you may be watching right now and being like, there's nothing going on here. It's been quiet pretty much most of the day, and that's the case if you're well to the west. A lot of the action has been along into the east of 45, and up until about 2 hours ago, it's all been non-severe, and that changed dramatically very fast, too. And we've got multiple tornado warnings still up for the area, 3 of them, in fact, right now. One that's going to be expiring at 4:30. It's been extended, a separate one until 5, and then this one here until 4:45. That's had the history further to the south of producing a tornado. There's brand new updates. The 4:30 expirations have gone on in, and we've got these 2 up until 5 o'clock later on this afternoon. Both of these, you see, one is moving to the northeast and one's moving to the north, possibly consolidating to the east of 6959. Let's get a check on, see how these velocities are looking, because, yeah, the one here over there, the Dayton area into Liberty, definitely much healthier. than it was just 15 minutes ago. So this is the spot we're looking at right on top of 321. North of Dayton now, I think you're out of the woods in Dayton, even though, you're still under a tornado warning. Kennefic area, it's to your west, and it's moving pretty much along 321 there. When I put the storm track on it earlier, there's not a whole lot out here. Certainly, there's still people and still property at risk, but it's not as dense a population, which is some good news. So look at the areas here. Faith Tabernacle, around 450. You got 20-minute lead time there. 455 by Rural Shade Church. So keep that in mind if you're in those areas. North of Dayton, I think you're out of the woods now. You're still dealing with heavy rain and gusty winds, but overall that threat out of the Dayton area. I want to show you here the wind speeds. Let's go back to both of our dual tornado warnings. And this one here that we clocked just 5 minutes ago, the 85-mile-an-hour wind. This is radar indicated, by the way, so keep that in mind. This is the loft. This might not even be reaching the ground, but it could very well be. Yeah, that's not very impressive. There we go. 62, 58 miles per hour, 67, 60. So it's down from our 85 earlier, which is good, but still this pronounced couplet there. We'll wait for the latest data to come in from the radar sweep. It comes in about every 4 or 5 minutes. It's not right live streaming it, unfortunately, but it does give us a pretty good view of what's going on. Let's check on the correlation coefficient. So this is that tool that I told you that lets us know if a tornado has lofted debris into the air. And when we just see consistent colors of, say, this maroon, it means there's nothing. But look at what it's showing here. That's worrisome. This area here could potentially be some debris that was lofted into the air and radar had picked it up. May it be shingles, siding, sticks, limbs from trees. It really depends on how strong the winds were. We had 85-mile-an-hour winds clocked there. That could do that easily. So that's right near the Kennefic area. This is a loft. This is older data, so it's likely not still up in the air. But our signature that we're watching that would be lofting this into the air is just off to the west of there. So certainly, if this has had a history of producing a tornado, we can see it evidenced here by the debris signature on our debris detector tool. It's a very fascinating thing to have. It kind of gives us verification before we get any ground level reports that there could have been a tornado associated with this. And we've still got the signature to kind of prove it. Right along 321 there, you can see the greens, more elongated now, which is a good sign. It's dissolving a little bit, like our previous cell did off towards the west. Kennefic area, private road 635, 321, very, very heavy winds there and heavy rain as well. I want to get another check on our other tornado warning because that signature that we had, it's gone, which is good news. That whole system has dissolved, which is good news right now. I'm not seeing any signatures of that. We'll switch it up here just to get a double check on that. Yeah, not much in terms of a couplet anymore associated with that cell, which is good news there. Has the Weather Service updated that? Let's see. See any updates on that? No, nothing yet. Still going to be up until 5 o'clock, but we have one very intense signature here off towards the east on 321. This is the one that's up for Liberty, excuse me, until 445. Now let's see here if we've got any of the correlation coefficients. So you can see the difference. This is the debris detector that I just showed you. Whoops, went backwards. Let's see. This is the debris detector signature that I showed you earlier. Okay, and that, we've got our two separate tornado warnings here. This one that's moved and gone, the velocity signature has dissipated. I don't see anything showing me that there was debris lofted, so likely no tornado associated with it that reached the ground. However, look at this one here, especially this area here to the northeast of 321, which is where the center of our velocities are. So check out the correlation here. So there's our velocity. Let me just zoom in even more so you can see that. So there's our velocity signature. And here is the correlation coefficient that was showing possibly some debris there, although the latest scan does show it better. So that's good news. But certainly, if that has had a history of producing a tornado, that would be evidence of it doing just that. Reflectivity, again, lots of heavy rain across the area right now, and we are seeing a lot of it lift north of I-10. Downtown Houston getting some heavy rain as well. And both of these tornadoes, well, it looks like they've actually even extended this tornado warning now. Let's see when that goes up until. until 5 o'clock. So that same one in Dayton that we had that signature on extended farther north. Let's see if there is a update on any speed with it. Okay, so they've changed the status on this tornado warning to an observed tornado, meaning that there is now confirmation that a tornado did touch the ground. A tornado-producing storm located over Kennefic or near Dayton, moving north at 25 miles an hour. Let's see what if they say when it's moving till 5. Okay, we actually have a picture of the tornado. At Beltway North it was taken. Let's throw that up there. There we go. Okay, wow. Yeah, there it is in the background. Funnel cloud. Did it reach the ground? It certainly could have. It's had a history of producing a tornado, so that could very well be an image of that tornado on the ground there with these tornado warn cells. All right, let's get back over to radar now. These are our 2 warnings that are up. Both have been extended. This expires here at 4:45. That's the smaller polygon there. The larger one that extends over it is the one that goes until 5 o'clock, and another one over here. To show you the velocities or the wind speeds that we've been tracking all afternoon to see where the center of that would be, and this one here. Okay. And there's a look at that velocity signature there. Now, Kim, let's dissect this and see exactly what's going on with the wind directions and why the other storm has seemed to dissolve, which is great news north of the city.
Yeah, Tim, we've been talking about how these storms have really been primed throughout the day. We've been seeing the moisture content building in our atmosphere. We've also seen the shear component come in with those upper level winds really coming west to east and that low pressure area moving to the northeast. So it's really no surprise that these really started to fire off, especially as we started to see that daytime heating, the sunlight really creating much more instability. Anytime we see the warming at the surface and some cooler air, a low pressure system moving aloft, it creates a little bit of a discrepancy and a lot of disruption. So yeah, we've been seeing those 2 tornado warnings, and now we're going to start to get a little bit closer look at them as far as how high they have built up. Now, anytime we get past 30,000 feet, that's when we really start to see these storms become a little bit more robust, those updrafts getting a little bit more intensified, and when we could start to see the potential for some of that smaller hail to be building. Tim, like you were talking about, it's very likely that that hail that we've been picking up on the signature pea-size and likely melting before reaching the ground, but certainly showing the intensity of these updrafts and the rotational components of them for the potential for them to reach the ground. We saw that funnel cloud. Now, if that does touch down, that's when we can call it a confirmed tornado, but certainly right now radar indicated tornadoes, 2 of them. The second one here for Harris, Liberty, and Montgomery County set to expire now at 5 o'clock, so been extended, which means they are showing the potential for intensification and certainly for isolation. So for that vertical movement to be more compact, that's when we start to get a little bit more concerned, a little bit more organization is in place, and then that's when we could certainly see it have enough strength to go from being a funnel cloud, from being rotation within the base of the thunderstorm cell, to then start to gravitate towards the ground. So here's a dissection of that storm cell, certainly getting past that 30,000 foot mark that we look for in terms of updraft intensity, but we're seeing a little bit less of the reds and the yellows there. So I think I'm a little bit more concerned with that Liberty cell. And I'm wondering if we're still seeing those shifts